fiery hell is crossing the face of the Earth as almost 2,000 ominous nuclear mushrooms scar the landscapes of the US, Europe, and Russia. Tens of millions are dead in a lethal tide that stuns most survivors into a blinding fear. World War III has suddenly turned the great powers into wounded giants, populated by desperate refugees with no place to go. For those not instantly killed in the initial assaults, survival takes presence of mind. Put aside the horror. Concentrate. Stockpile food. Stash away as much water as you can. Stay inside. Take care of your own. Underground in Kansas, 70 survivors in a well-provisioned bunker know they are in for the long haul. They are prepared to defend themselves from outsiders. World War III rages on. The death toll pushes past 100 million, as thousands of square miles are left smoldering where cities and military bases once stood.
Look back at the atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. If you just multiply that by millions, you can imagine the aftermath of a global nuclear exchange.
My grandfather told me about landing in Hiroshima after the bomb. He was on a medical ship, and what really struck him was the smell of char and death and destruction. He said he'd never smelled anything like it. And seeing the destruction, it shook him to his core.
And yet, those who die in the thermonuclear fireballs may be the lucky ones. Any survivors will have to face the terrible aftermath of the widespread destruction. A nuclear winter. Cities from America to Europe to Asia have been destroyed. In the US and Russia especially, the death toll is enormous.
You would imagine well over 100 million people in each country have been killed. The way nuclear wars might evolve, it is hard to imagine that it would be limited.
And the deadly effects are not confined to cities destroyed by bombs. When Russian warheads struck American missile silos in the northern mountain states, radioactive fallout began taking a massive toll.
Wind patterns would carry it and drop it on huge areas of the country. So there would essentially be no safe place to go.
Duluth, Minnesota, a small city of 86,000, was just one of many places directly in the path of the deadly clouds. And people here began to die from radiation sickness.
Radiation sickness is when your organs and tissues that are necessary to keep you running, your nervous system and your blood, if they absorb enough radiation, they're going to start going offline. Suddenly, all sorts of things start to go wrong. You'll get lots of little blood spots, things that look like burns on the body, vomiting.
Your hair falls out, your body just stops functioning, and it's a slow, painful, awful death.
A veil of grief for the loss of friends and family compounds the struggle survivors now face for the basics: food, water, and shelter. And residual radiation will kill for decades.
To have some idea of what's going to happen in the future after these cities are ruined, think of Chernobyl. There were cities nearby that were evacuated. Today, they're really overgrown with vegetation and animals are just roaming freely there. That's what it's going to be across huge swaths of North America, for example.
The world now settles into a deep gloom as the skies go dark. The bombs started massive fires that sent 50 million tons of soot into the air.
What happens is it goes up in the atmosphere and it's quickly spread around the world by the wind. And so the result is almost no sunlight gets to the ground.
The soot from the massive nuclear-fueled fires blocks so much sunlight that it plunges the world into a sudden nuclear winter.
This is an ice age with fallout, with radiation. Everything is going to be damaged in some way or another.
Scientists say a nuclear winter will freeze the Earth for about 2 decades.
The onset of this winter is shocking. This is a long-term, horrible catastrophe that would happen in the case of a global thermonuclear war.
The sudden cold destroys world agriculture. The war has already killed more than 200 million people. And now, far more are doomed.
We're talking billions of people who will die from starvation as a result of this.